Hello guys, your favorite BPM coach. Today talking quickly about how to establish a BPM Center of Excellence. What is a BPM Center of Excellence? Well, it is, especially in large organizations, it is that body, that org unit that keeps the business process management competency and capability together, and it develops it over the years and it matures it over the years so that there's standards, and there's consistency, there's coherence, and there's value that that the BPM practitioners add. Okay, I've added on the far left, you'll see like a hexagon so that this more or less looks scientific. Okay, cool. So your BPM CoE. So if you look at this blue box in the middle, number one, they're responsible for managing and maintaining your process architecture and governance, your standards, your templates, tools, frameworks. Then if you look towards the right, you'll see a number 2, 3, and 4. So in terms of number 2, the CoE provides advisory and counseling on different governance, like the standards, templates, and frameworks that we use. They provide item number 3, they manage the BPM induction program. So any new BPM practitioner that comes in has to be familiarized with the way we do it in our organization, as an example. We also provide BPM training and refresher training. Remember, you could have worked for an organization where you used like an EPC notation, or you used errors, but now you're coming into a new organization and they might be using another tool or technology. They might be using a different modeling notation. So you have the competency as a BPM practitioner, but you need to know and be familiar with how we do BPM in our organization. So that's activity number 3. Number 4, they also audit compliance to governance standards, all the frameworks that we basically have. And so that the resources on your far right, let's call it BPM resource 1, Joe, BPM resource number 2 is Annie, so that they can basically do their work in line with our governance. Then if we now swivel a bit to the left, you'll see there's a number 5 there where I'm toggling right now. The BPM Center of Excellence also provides governance around the tools and the repositories, etc. So you'll see I've lumped together your BPM technologies and applications. So we could have an IBPMS, an Intelligent Business Process Management Suite. Here we're talking about Pega, we're talking about software AGs, web methods. We're talking about for at Atlassian also has a IBPMS, Oracle has, and so does IBM. We're talking about the process repositories, the knowledge bases, basically where we store our BPM artifacts, and the modeling tool. The modeling tool is sometimes part of your IBPMS, but often it's also like a standalone. Then we have our number 6 there. So you'll see that the BPM CoE also then supports BPM in terms of the different councils and communities that exist. Let's raise one. There could be a BPM community of practice. There could be a BPM process manager council. Guys, at this point, I just want to say that this is actually based on work that we've done for a client in the aviation sector in South Africa. And this is how we conceived and conceptualized and implemented their BPM Center of Excellence. Then you'll see number 7 on the bottom left. Obviously, you'd have different vendors in the BPM space, so you'd have to make sure that they get paid. So if we have a BPM subscription, it's probably the BPM CoE that will receive that invoice so that we can sort of pay those licenses, and so forth. So then we have number 8 in the middle, where if you really over time want to make sure that there's fresh information, fresh innovative ideas, etc., that comes into your organization and into your BPM practice, you would have to probably join these BPM innovation networks, like conferences, these BPM conferences, and they happen across the world, you know what I mean? So look at that. Probably join industry bodies like the ABPMP, that stands for the Association of Business Process Management Professionals. There's also TOGAF, more from an enterprise architecture perspective. There could be a number of these bodies, so don't be limited. And then lastly, maybe academia and other, research bodies. So a lot of universities offer BPM certifications. I know in South Africa, the University of Pretoria does that. So maybe your BPM Centre of Excellence wants to partner and synergize with institutions like that. Then lastly, far right, number 9, BPM does not exist in an island, on an island, or in a silo. So there's other peripheral competencies, or let's call it peripheral competencies or capability areas that we need to interface with. So learning and development, because you document business processes and SOPs and work instructions, you need to just synergize with the L&D department in terms of content, because you have a vested interest in the learning and development of resources in the organization. From an organizational design perspective, OD, as you restructure, as you redesign processes, you might find that you actually changing the scope of work of different individuals, different roles, different teams. So from an OD perspective, you would have to work with with the OD team, because they also see this from a different angle, and in terms of what should those role profiles be, what should the job specifications be, because of the BPM changes. Enterprise architecture, business process management is part of what's called business architecture, and business architecture is what business architecture is one of the components of enterprise architecture. So in fact, BPM is a subset of enterprise architecture. So hence you just need to also align with enterprise architecture, team in the organization. Then at the bottom right, you'll read it for yourself, but basically from a change management perspective, improving processes is all about managing change. So just align as well with the change management team in the organization, so that there's coherence in how this is approached. Then the enterprise project management offers a lot of times opportunities are identified for improvement. And then some of it could be big projects, and it then makes sense that these projects are managed by the PMO, the central PMO. And then also lastly, BPM efforts are also there to sort of close audit gaps, and to strengthen the what do you call it, the risk, the control environment in the organization. So hence you would have to liaise and align with that capability, with a particular capability owner there as well. So guys, in a nutshell, you can see here, to establish a BPM Center of Excellence, it's actually a lot of work. And this is something you would typically do in a very big organization. I think smaller to medium-sized organizations would have a very watered down version of this, which is fine. As the organization scales, so will your BPM Center of Excellence. Now, the last thing here is, you're not going to achieve and build these things overnight. You're not going to do that. If anybody tells you that you can have a proper functioning, well-oiled BPM Center of Excellence in a year, that is not the truth. So I advise then that you maybe look at a 3-year view to sort of mature your practices. So here's just all the components on the right-hand side. I'm not going into detail here. You can grab screenshots of this, but you can color code the activities that you will be doing in year 1. Let's say they're the ones in gray here, right? And then the ones in, I don't know, in orange, you could say could be done in year 2, etc., etc. So that's how you then show to the COO or the CIO, because that's typically where the BPM Center of Excellence reports into what the plan of action is, what the roadmap is. And then year 2, the same thing. And then the last portion of the roadmap here is maybe year 3, where it shows then, you know, where you would be at that point in time. And that is it, guys. Yeah, BPM is a fascinating field, and as you can hear, and as you've seen from the other videos, it's a whole world that actually exists out there in terms of BPM. It's a discipline. It's a whole. There's a large body of knowledge, and yeah, BPM practitioners are quite sought after across the world because of the skill set that they bring. So yeah, that's how you do it. Reach out to us if you have any questions, any items you want to unpack further. Just reach out to us. We're more than willing to help you. Thank you. Bye bye.